I'm Simon Dixon. I'm co-founder of an equity crowdfunding platform called BnkToTheFuture.com, and I wrote a book called Bank to the Future on the future of finance, discussing things like Bitcoin and crowdfunding quite a while ago, which has now gone a lot more mainstream.
So if you could kind of describe what your book says in a nutshell, what would it be?
In a nutshell, we're experiencing some real bottom-up reform where entrepreneurs have created technologies and businesses which have the potential to really transform the world of finance and move from a world where financial institutions are pulling most of the purse strings to people actually deciding who gets the money and allocating finance. It also discusses the need to actually change top-down our traditional financial system and banks, and how the government have essentially not done that, and what they would need to do in order to build a sustainable financial system. And we travel a bit in time, going back and forth and seeing what effect these reforms can have on our future.
So that's the book, and so how is the website different to other crowdfunding platforms?
Yeah, so BnkToTheFuture.com, we're an equity crowdfunding platform. Most people, when they've heard of crowdfunding, they're familiar with a company like Kickstarter, where essentially you place a project on an online website and you go out there and ask people to give money to your project, and in exchange for that you give them some kind of reward, like your product or a t-shirt or something like that. The difference with BnkToTheFuture.com is you're actually selling shares in your company, so people become investors, and the major difference is that rather than you having to just find rich angel investors, you can now get everyday people to invest as little as £10 or the digital currency equivalent in businesses.
What would a Bitcoin only future look like, or a cryptocurrency future look like?
A cryptocurrency future will be very, very interesting. The first major shift will be that essentially the world will become just like the iPhone invented an app store, and we have thousands of programmers all around the world developing applications which we can all use. When you make money programmable, the applications of what you can do with money are open up to the world's innovation and businesses that want to create ATMs, point-of-sale terminals, and reinvent every single aspect of finance, with a few major differences. And the major difference would be transparency, which prevents a lot of the financial rigging that we're familiar with traditional financial markets, and the unsustainable boom and bust economies that are caused by allowing banks to create money. Instead, we can transition to a world where people create money, people own their own money, and people allocate their money rather than relying on a financial institution who's doing it for whatever's good for that financial institution.
So what kind of things can we see an end to investment flowing to?
Say that again?
What kind of things will investment not flow to anymore in that kind of future then?
Well, firstly, I'm a deluded optimist, so feel free to discount everything I say as deluded optimism. But I believe that through decentralized money that's not owned, created, and allocated through banks, and through technologies like crowdfunding and equity crowdfunding, that eventually, when these technologies get adopted and they integrate into every aspect of our life, what actually gets funded will reflect the values of society, which means that the people decide who gets the money rather than financial institutions deciding who gets the money. And personally, I believe that some of the things that get funded today, which are less beneficial for our economy, like weapons of mass destruction, financial speculation, a lot of those things wouldn't get funded if people know what they were funding. And so, I believe that less harmful things will get funded. People will have the choice to still invest in those things, but maybe transparency, less people will do it.
And how far away do you think this future is?
It's growing rapidly at the moment. I think we need about 5 more years of invention and innovation, but right now we've created a very niche community where people can actually operate purely off these technologies. They can raise finance through crowdfunding, they can make payments and issue loans and spend loans through digital currencies. I get paid in Bitcoin. My last 6 months I've been paid in Bitcoin, and I know lots of people that will accept Bitcoin, but I'm a little bit geeky like that. It's not ready for the everyday consumer, but the key is to get different entrepreneurs that create different solutions, so that everyone can adopt it a lot more easier. And I think we're on the verge of an exponential growth curve.